Guys, the NFL draft is 9 days away, and I am excited. I'm so ready to see what Joe Schoen is going to do in the NFL draft. He's got 10 picks to add to this team. I think we're going to be looking pretty good after the draft is over. If you are ready, you're ready for our live coverage and videos every day leading up to the draft about the NFL draft, go ahead, like this video. You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're going to react to a mock draft from ESPN. The good old duo of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, they teamed up and did a 3-round mock draft. So we're going to go over the 3 picks the Giants made. I'll give you guys some of my thoughts and analysis on those picks. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you guys to grade the mock draft. So the Giants were on the clock at pick number 25. And in my opinion, thinking about need for the team as well as best players available, these were those guys. Deonte Banks was on the board out of Maryland, the cornerback. Quentin Johnston, the 6'2" wide receiver out of TCU. Brian Breesy, the interior defensive lineman out of Clemson. Then you got Myles Murphy, his teammate at Clemson, an edge rusher. And then one of my favorite guys, I'd call him one of Marshall's guys, Brian Branch, in my opinion, the best slot corner and safety hybrid in this NFL draft. The top wide receivers were gone. No Jackson Smith-Njigba, no Jordan Addison, and no Zay Flowers. So the Giants kind of had the board fall out in a bad but good way because I love the pick of Deonte Banks at number 25 by Kiper and McShay. He's really the last elite corner in my eyes in this draft. And I love what he does on the football field and the way he plays the position because I feel like it fits perfectly with what the Giants want to do. Deonte Banks is a big athlete. He's 6 foot, 197 pounds, and he's very, very athletic. 4'3", 40. He's not one of these light in the pants, short, small corners that the Giants have been mocked, like Emmanuel Forbes or some of these smaller guys like DJ Turner out of Michigan. Deonte Banks is a professional cornerback build, and he plays like the Giants play at that position. I'll talk about that in a second. But this is what Mel Kiper had to say about the selection of Banks to the Giants at 25. He said, with the top 3 receivers off the board in this scenario, the Giants shouldn't reach, which is what Todd is going to do for Dallas. He had Quentin Johnston going to Dallas at pick 26. He said New York should target a corner instead. Banks has the size, speed, and instincts to be a number 1 corner, and I completely agree. I want to look at some of his stats right here, what he did last year in college football. Allowed just a completion percentage of 43. So the guy is a good corner. I like his ability to mirror the routes of these wide receivers. I also like that he is a press man corner. That is what makes me so happy for him to be a New York Giant potentially. He had 359 snaps this year in press coverage with it, which is the 7th most in the nation. He needs to improve his technique a little bit, but at 6 foot, almost 200 pounds with 4'3" 40 speed, this is a guy that I absolutely love at this position, and I think he would step in and be one of the Giants' better corners right away. Obviously, Adoree Jackson is your cornerback 1. Darnay Holmes, as of now, is going to be a starter at that slot position once again. I like Aaron Robinson, but we didn't see him last year. I think Cordell Flott's going to take a big step. But if you're able to add a young Deonte Banks into this cornerback room, you're going to be looking good going forward. Maybe you don't want a cornerback, though. I would give this pick, honestly, a B+. I would be happy if the Giants got Deonte Banks. I think he was the best cornerback left. And like I said, the last one of those top tier of corners. Is it Banks? Is it somebody else? Pick 25. You're on the clock. You be the GM. Let me know who you want the Giants to select. We'll get to the next 2 picks that Kiper and McShay made for New York. But first, you guys got to get hooked up with our proud sponsor of today's show, and that is Fume. Go to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS or scan this QR code to unlock the offer and learn more about Fume. That link is clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. Fume is all about embracing the natural. It's not electronic, and instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Best of all, it's free of harmful chemicals and packed with delicious all-natural flavors. The adjustable airflow dial and movable parts and magnets make it perfect for fidgeting, which can help alleviate stress and anxiety while you break your habit. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but I was pleasantly surprised by the taste, feel, and the look of Fume. Breaking a habit can be tough, no doubt about it. But with Fume, it's easy, enjoyable, and even fun. With over 100,000 customers and countless success stories, there's no reason you can't be next. Start your journey towards a healthier lifestyle with the Journey Pack from Fume. Visit tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 10% off. That is tryfum.com/chatsports. And remember, use code chatsports for 10% off. You can also scan this QR code and unlock the offer and learn more about Fume. Pick 57 rolled around for the ESPN duo, and I love the pick that they made for the New York Giants. They could have went with a wide receiver at this spot. I didn't really like the receivers on the board at that point. The guys I liked, I felt like would have been a reach at pick 57, but I liked the selection of John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota, 6'3", 301 pounds, first team All-American, first team All-Big Ten. And this is a plug-and-play type of player. This is someone that's going to step in and be the starting center for the Giants right away. I'd give this pick an A+ because you're getting, in my opinion, one of the best football players left on the board, but you're also filling a position of need at that center spot. When you look at what he did last year in 12 games played, he gave up just 2 sacks, 1 QB hit, and 5 QB hurries. He's a better run blocker, I would say, than pass blocker with a PFF run grade of 92.4 compared to his 81.0 pass block grade last year, according to PFF. Some notes here from Dane Brugler of The Athletic. He says he has a quality frame with adequate mass and play strength, skillfully uses his hands and grip strength to latch and strain in the run game, generates power from his lower body to drive his man away from the play, and he's able to use his hips to seal run lanes. His hands stay active and fierce in pass protection. He is like a bull in a china shop. He's an aggressive player, and he would fit in right across this Giants offensive line. And you'd be pretty young across this O-line if you were to bring in John Michael Schmitz. Joshua Ezeudu was a top 100 selection last year out of North Carolina. Then you're bringing in John Michael Schmitz to be your center. Then you got your second-year player in Evan Neal. You're young, but you're better than what you were last year, and I think he would come in, that being John Michael Schmitz, and be your #1 starting center. I like Bredesen. I don't love Bredesen. John Michael Schmitz could be the next Sean O'Hara for this organization and play 10, 12 years. I love the pick. I give it an A+. Look, we're going to continue to put out videos all year long and really about the NFL draft coming up for the next week and a half. So make sure you guys are subscribed. If you love the Giants, we are the channel for you. Sub for Giants Dubs. I think we're a cool channel. You should join the squad. We're on our way to 30,000 subs. The last pick the duo made in this ESPN mock draft was Nathaniel Tank Dell. He has maybe the best name in this draft. He just goes by Tank Dell, but he was selected by the Giants, the wide receiver out of Houston, with pick number 89. I like the nickname, I think, more than the player. I like the player, no doubt about it, but I like the fit less. And it's mainly because we already have our Tank Dell on this roster. His name is Wan'Dale Robinson. They do the same things. I think Dell is a little bit better of a deep threat than what Wan'Dale Robinson is, but you're getting a 5'8" wide receiver, 165 pounds, good athlete, but they do the same things. Dell plays a little bit more on the outside. At least that's what he did last year for the Cougars, and he was great at it. I mean, he's a 2-time first-team All-ACC, and he led the FBS in receiving yards in 2022. He is a playmaking player when the ball is in his hands. The Giants, they like those type of guys. But I worry a little bit about being 5'8" in Tank Dell and 5'9" in Wan'Dale Robinson and then 6 foot in Sterling Shepard. Is you're just a small, and Paris Campbell, he's only 6 foot. I like the player. This is what Mel Kiper had to say about him. There's no doubt that he is a great player, and he had 199 catches over the past 2 seasons, and he was used inside and outside. In fact, 61 of those catches came when Tank was aligned wide right, while 60 receptions came when he was in the slot on the left side of the field. That's versatility. But at 5'8", he isn't big, but he has some ability after the catch. The Giants could add him to their stockpile of pass catchers. The stats are incredible. I mean, the guy had 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 yards per catch, and 109 receptions. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a T.Y. Hilton, where he's small, but he plays big, and he's fast, and he can get downhill, and he's also good with the ball in his hands. I just don't necessarily know if I like the fit on this current roster. Because look, he's not going to play, he can play outside, but I think in the NFL he's going to be more of a slot guy. He's going to be a good player. There's just some other wide receivers that I liked at that spot, like Xavier Hutchinson out of Iowa State or Trey Palmer out of Nebraska. You got Wan'Dale Robinson. You got Paris Campbell. You got Jamison Crowder. You got Sterling Shepard. I would like a guy that could play more outside and be kind of that physically imposing threat, maybe at 6'2", 6'3". I like Xavier Hutchins probably at this spot better. Recapping what went down for the Giants in this ESPN mock draft, they had Deonte Banks going round one. I'd give that pick a B+, maybe even an A-. I'd be hype about Banks being a Giant. John Michael Schmitz, I give it an A+, and Nathaniel Dell, I give it a C+. Not a bad pick, not a great pick, but I think somewhat of a redundant pick. Overall, I would give this mock draft probably a solid B. I'd give it a B overall. I like the 2 first picks a lot. The 3rd pick, I don't even know if I'd go wide receiver at that point. I know it's a need, but I feel like you not necessarily reached on Tank Dell, but you didn't need Tank Dell. You could have went with a running back or an edge rusher or maybe another linebacker. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe you love good old Tank Dell. Great nickname, great player, no doubt. But I want you to grade the mock draft overall. Factor in all 3 picks. I give it a B. What do you give it? React to ESPN's mock draft as we close out the show. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you soon. Go Giants.